Go.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well and stay healthy in this special period when the coronavirus is spreading all over the world. Before we start, I would like to take this chance to thank all my group members, Najib, Sadaf, Salhin, Ihan, which is me, and Edie. We would need to thank each of our team members, as we won't be able to make such a brilliant project without such a great team. Next slide. First, I'd like to give you a brief outline of our presentation. We will introduce the problem that enlightens us to make our project, the approaches that we have taken in building our app, the setup about tools, algorithms, and testing cases, as well as a discussion and the conclusion part. Besides, our references will be listed out in the last slide. Next page. As to problem, we have noticed that schools are having insufficient practice questions to cover every single aspect of the coursework, especially when it comes to finding practice questions that could help students sharpen the skills that they fail to master. Also, there exists a demanding market for having a software to make education more convenient for both students and teachers. Next slide. Speaking of its importance, students need to persistently practice what they learned. Learning is like rowing upstream. Not to advance is to drop back. We should all practice what we learned, otherwise we will forget. Students may spend twice the time to master what they learned unless they have practice questions customized in a certain way that facilitates the learning process. The traditional way of learning is becoming less convenient during those troubled time of COVID-19, which was unprecedented before. Our system allows students to practice their own coursework at the comfort of their own home. Next slide. It is indeed quite challenging in terms of managing our project. The most crucial part of our project management is frequent group meeting on a daily basis, such that each of us will report our progress of the allocated work. There doesn't have to be a substantial progress every single day. The main purpose is to ensure that everyone is on the same page and we are able to approach to our final objective step by step. Besides, we used GitHub as the version control tool for our project, such that the project won't be messed up even if someone created a merge conflict. Everything can be easily recovered in a split of a second. As to the division of labor, we used Redmine for allocating our tasks. We all stick to the scheduled tasks on Redmine and keep in touch with each other to ensure that everything goes smoothly. For the code debugging, we simply use the default debugging tool that comes with Python extension pack in Visual Studio Code, through which we are able to set breakpoints to pause the program. To document our code, we utilize the Python doc library, which is a tool for documenting Python codes. The good thing about it is that this tool can easily help us generate an interactive HTML documentation, such that we can host it on our server once we finalize our project on April 17th. Now let me introduce my teammate Sadaf to explain the next step in our presentation.
Hello everyone, this is Salhin speaking, and I'd like to discuss the features of application. But before starting from that point, I'd like to thank Ian for giving me the floor, and also I'd like to say that I hope that everyone's staying home and staying safe. So I'd like to go through the features of the application, and the basic features of this application, as I already have been mentioned, is the thing that it can generate automatic questions from the passages that you give. And one of the key features that the questions also can be stored in the database, and the platform can be currently being accessed from the internet any place, but we have to have a web browser for that, and because it's a web-based application. So there are some vital tools and keys that we've already used, and one of the tools and kits that already have been mentioned is a GitHub and GitLab. We earlier started with GitLab, but later on decided to go with GitHub because it was much more convenient to us. And for the regular meetings and the regular setups, we have used WhatsApp and Slack. And for the coding and debugging part, we have used the Visual Code. this video. And we have also used MySQL Workbench to actually create the database and actually manipulate with the data and the questions that are stored in the database. Next, I would like to say that we have built the application based on Python 3 and also on Flask. And for the front end, for the UI, we all have used the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And last but not the least, we have used the natural language analysis tool, which is also known as NLTK, to actually process the passages and create the questions from that. And now let's go to the part how it works. Well, in this application, you can put a text file with the passage that you want to make question from. So you give the questions, you give the passage, and it reads the file and it creates the questions in the output.txt file. Later on, a parser reads the output.txt file and reads all the lines and stores those questions in the database. And from the database, you actually can find the ID, the subject name, the semester name, questions, date of creation, and email. So this is how, in a basic, simple was the application functions, and that's how the algorithm works. But we faced some of the challenges and limitations throughout the whole process. The first limitations is that the whole application is based on the analytical library. Analytical is an open source library, everyone can use it. It's so enriched, and that's why we didn't focus on creating something else, and it's quite impossible for us to create. But based on that, we created the application. And the second challenge that we faced is the Python setup. As we have developed the application in Windows, and it has some difficulties during the Python installation, and Python has so many different versions that with the very beginning moment we struggle with that. But later on, we actually stick with the Python 3+ because Python 2.7 support is depreciated right now. And there are some limitations with the application. Sometimes it makes some little grammatical mistakes, maybe what or who or whom, these kind of keywords are missing at some kind of problem. But later on, we try to fix that as much as possible. And there's another challenge that we have faced currently is making this website responsive. But as we are progressing and we have planned to improve this by the time of our whole project timeline till April 7, we'll hopefully make it much more responsive. And there's one of the challenges is making the database management. But we have already working on these things, and we are creating with the data much more responsibly, and we're following all the steps of database management. So we think like the database management challenge can be recovered very soon. So the next part will be discussed by Edie. So Edie, you have the floor.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about another important part in our project, system testing, which guarantee all our functions run successfully, also to check and promote our application as well. In this application, we use the four important software tests to make sure our program runs successfully: stress testing, volume testing, usability testing, and performance testing. For the stress testing, we use the unit types to test and check if our program can deal with a huge amount of processing requests in a given time. In the test function, we use it to generate 50 exams in 5 seconds and check if this can pass the stress testing. Also, in the second part, we use the volume testing. For this part, we use the AppShape benchmark tool. It is a tool to design the new endpoint with the request and load time servers. In addition, we also pay attention on the usability testing and performance testing. We conduct usability testing in 2 phases. The first one, like we call it alpha testing, which is like conducted by the alpha users. These are the part of the development team. Therefore, they are belongs to member of our group. The second part is like a beta testing. These are the people who do not belong to the development. So in this part, we asked our other university students for their opinions. For the performance testing, the web load pre-additions. Since ours is like a web-based project, we use this tool to get metrics for the load testing, such as generating the mass virtual user load to test how many concurrent users we can have. So for the next part, we are talking about like something about the user experience during the different parts of our experience. Then we found the important things for application during the real user experience stories. Maybe once we finish the basic development, the developer feel like we finished. However, the user performance it is not good at all. We did a test with our program with a classmate in our class. Although it was successful to run our application all functions in terminal, which is shown on the left, but for the performance, it was not good. Instead, it was a mess. So we try to improve our interface to make more clearly and also make them to have a good experience in using our application. During more performance tests and usability tests, we improve it by progress. The right one is our current result. These two results for a real design of an application has a big difference for a real user. So one is nothing, another one means everything. So next part, which will be introduced by my another classmate.
So I'm Ahmed Najib, and I'll be discussing the timeline we went through for this project. For the first 2 weeks, we had to come up with a suitable idea for the project. And after several brainstorming and discussion sessions with our team and also with our professor, we came up with this idea for the project. We also conducted a requirement analysis to determine if our idea is compatible with the market, and this finally decided that a question generator was the way to go. Within this time, we also decided to build our project using agile methodology because our system would be subjected to a lot of change. After working with this idea for 3 weeks, we are able to build a working prototype. This served as a proof of concept for our project. Even though we didn't have a working UI or any existing connection between the back end and the front end, this was enough for us to know that we could work on this something good. This completed phase 1 of our project. After completing phase 1, we acquired enough knowledge about different design patterns, and we used those different design patterns, namely grasp patterns, in our code to optimize our code. For example, we used a controller pattern. In our example, we used UI as the controller class, and this controls all the functionalities to where it starts and stops the code. We also used high cohesion and low coupling design patterns by putting functions that are related together and not unrelated classes in the same class. For example, we put all functions that communicate with the database in a class that does not interfere with other classes. Now, our final group member, Sheikh Sadaf Tasin, will continue with the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed Najib. I'm Sheikh Sadaf Tasin. Hello, everyone. So at this point, we were completed with phase 2. We were successfully able to connect the database with the UI, and all core functionalities were implemented. Initially, our program only ran and displayed output in the terminal. However, after the completion of phase 2, we are now able to present our work through a web page. All the questions will be printed on the web page if the user follows the instruction accordingly. And we conducted this from week 8 to week 9. At the beginning of week 9, we started testing, as my groupmate Edie talked about. We also make proper amendments after the findings of our results during those testing. And finally, at week 10, we put the finishing touches to our project and pushed it to GitHub. And then let's say we are waiting for our fate. So next slide, please. So to conclude this presentation, I would like to summarize about what our project is. It's an online question generator which uses Python 3 as backend. However, I would also like to talk about our future plans with this project. We would like to add a chatbot to assist students with certain problems that they won't be able to solve themselves. Furthermore, if the questions are even beyond our AI's capacity, we would also offer them access to a live tutor, and our problems will be solved accordingly. And also, as Saleh said, we would like to make our website more responsive in the near future. So with that ends our next slide, please. So these are the links of our project and the project website, and also the GitHub link. And also, to conclude, we would like to express our gratitude to our professor and the tutors and my fellow group mates. So thank you.